frustrated this morning? Yep. You're frustrated? Come on, who else is frustrated? I have seen that look and that, and heard that breath of frustration in the room. So do not pretend otherwise. Write it down. I am frustrated. Write it down. Go on. Write it down now. Write it down. I am frustrated. Write it down. Everybody. I am frustrated. Own it. Right now. You'll tell me about it in a minute. Right? I am. Did you write it? Come on. I am frustrated. Are you resisting?
Yes.
Don't resist it. That's frustration already. I am frustrated because Shiv Singh is telling me to write frustration and I don't feel like writing frustration. Whatever you're frustrated about, it comes next. First write it down. I am frustrated. Yeah? Okay, what do you want to say?
Well, maybe I'm a little frustrated because somebody else was frustrated.
You see?
I spoke to.
It becomes infectious.
Yes.
You let somebody else's frustration frustrate you.
Yes.
You let that happen.
Yes.
But you are frustrated.
Yeah.
Proportion is another thing. Come on, somebody else, tell me about your frustration today. Interesting. Yeah, like she's saying, not comfortable with my voice, how it is lately. You're not comfortable with the physical. It sits in you. It may not be active, you might not always be aware of it, but it sits in you. And if you give it that space, I'm frustrated, and just kind of hold that mantra for a little while, you start to notice, yeah, there's things going on. It is sitting there. How's it going?
I'm frustrated that we are talking about frustration.
The fact that that frustrates you shows you that you have the frustration.
I have it.
Yeah? This is important. It doesn't matter what it's about, but that you acknowledge you have it. And don't blame the fact that we could be talking about peanuts. You know? It doesn't matter what we're talking about. The question is whether it frustrates you. And if it frustrates you, it's because you have still sitting in you this point of frustration. You understand?
Yeah.
That's what you need to notice right now.
It's very, very close to irritation, no? This frustration.
Sure.
It's
Yep.
really like,
It's a question, yeah? Are you going to regress back? Irritation, I'm bored with my frustration, but that actually becomes irritating, and I'm bored, and da-da-da-da. And then I'm upset. Are you frustrated about your frustration, or are you upset about your frustration? Does it upset you that you're still frustrated?
yeah.
That you found frustration, that I was able to bring frustration to you? You're not upset, good news. I'm not going to go back. I want to go forward. Okay.
Yeah, that's also something, you know, we want to go forward and you bring us back. That's frustrating.
It's frustrating if within you there is frustration.
Yeah, but there is, definitely.
There definitely is. Okay.
Is it like a necessary step to then, you know, when you want to jump, you step back and then to make the next move, to get back to your
If there's something left there,
initiate.
there will always be the necessity to go back. Always. If there's nothing there, then no. Exactly. Okay, exactly. And that old pattern of shame or self-defeat or the doubt comes in, it's frustrating. Why is this still getting me? Why is it still bothering me? Why? Irritation, frustration, right there. And what to do? What to do with that? When you discover that there's frustration there, what to do?
Try to find the root of the frustration.
Why?
You've
Why?
Because the pattern is going to
You're
come back.
wasting a lot of time.
If you don't see where it's coming from.
Is that really true?
That what?
That you have to see where it comes from?
Uh,
Check it. Is that really, this is your belief? That you need to see where it comes from. That's your belief. And supposing you discover it comes from another lifetime. Ah, are you suddenly liberated from it just because you found out where it came from? No. Root is not guaranteed of anything. This is one of the big fallacies of modern therapy. You've got to find the source, the root, the cause, and you go dig, and you go further back, and further back, and further back. It's infinite. Do you every time have to find the root? Is there no other way? Just rest on it, rest on it. Pause for a moment. There's a whole that it could be that that belief, idea, is not the only possibility. Okay, just hold that idea for a moment. What else are there any other option? What are you going to do with this frustration that you don't even know what it is you're really frustrated about, but you know you're frustrated? Yeah? What are you going to do with that?
I drop it.
You what?
I drop it.
You drop it.
Yeah.
Did you just drop it now?
Yeah, not just when you ask me, I say, yeah,
You just drop it.
drop it.
And her idea is, because you haven't found the root, it's still there probably. Did you drop it or did you just let it sink a little and it's going to sit there on your right shoulder, just waiting for the next chance to be hooked again?
Yeah.
What? How do you know you really, really, really dropped it? Did you really drop it? Don't answer. Hold on to this question. Do you really have to go to the root? Is that the only way? Can you really drop it? Is that really a possibility, or is it a fake it? What do you say? What are your options?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I tend to try to find something else to do.
You
So,
will be occupied with something else, so you will not be preoccupied with your frustration. Is that a distraction, or an escape, or a denial, and like burying your head in the sand, or is it actually really going to free you from the frustration? I'm not saying right or wrong, yeah? I'm just saying, how might it work that you're enough occupied with something that the frustration never, never, never has a chance to grow and amplify itself and take your space. And therefore one day it's going to shrink and shrivel up and it's going to die. Yeah? Is that possible? Yeah? We have different options. Just drop it, throw it in the garbage, flush it down the toilet, and can that really happen? Can you ignore it enough that it will go in a corner and ultimately be, extracted out of your aura? Do you have to go to the root? But if you do, how do you do that in such a way that changes the thing? It's one thing to know the cause, but then what? Oh, I now know because my father left me at 2 years old, this is why I have this rejection problem. Okay, does that change your rejection problem? Not necessarily. So getting to the root, what did that do for you? Yes?
Getting to the root is, then you can just change it.
Change what?
Well, what has happened, just find the jewel that was,
What is the jewel?
hidden in it.
What is it? What is it? Let's take that example.
Well,
Father left
your
it
father,
to
your father left you, so what is it that you have learned from that experience?
Okay, just why do you have to go there? Why don't you look now? What have you learned? How did you survive? Why don't you just find that now? Root or no root? What has life taught you? Do you need to know the root to recognize what you've learned through life? Huh?
No.
No, exactly. Can you shortcut that? Fast track. Pay attention to what life has taught you, apply what life has taught you. Is there other ways?
Become proactive or finish the work, this my case,
Become proactive.
or do proactive for speak English.
Exactly. Whatever it is you're frustrated about, take action, become proactive. Do something about it. Yeah? So that you can move on. Don't just sit with it complaining and letting it consume you. Is there some action you can take? Take the action.
Just
Yes, okay. Identify the level at which it's catching you and work with it, use its energy to do something. Okay? That's always a question. Thank you for that. It's always a question, how much is that going to resolve any deeper? Like a tendency to get frustrated? Is there some primal frustration kind of pattern in us? Or is that simply, as you said, is something of the moment, you can resolve it quickly? But is the tendency still there? Is the pattern there? Is the anchorage? And what do we do about that? It's another level. But what's not clear still, I hope you got this, yeah, there's a double thing. There's the immediate sense of frustration, and what are you going to do with that? Let it go, but is the seed of it still sitting with you? Or, yeah, you take action, you communicate, but your tendency to go back to frustration may still be there. What are you doing with that? It's a separate, another level, yeah? What are you doing with that pattern? Why you let this moment now frustrate you? Yeah, that I'm taking the conversation back to frustration. Why do you let that frustrate? For example, yeah, because you have that in you, that inclination to relate to something in a way that turns it into frustration internally. And why would you do that? When that shame comes, you have options. Yeah? Frustration is not the only option. Why do you do frustration? And what can you do to change that? You get what we're saying? If you don't have an alternative, you don't have some other way to take it, you will keep coming back and keep revisiting this tendency towards frustration over and over and over again. Come on. Yeah? Isn't there some day in your life when you're going to say, that's finished. I'm not going to do that ever again. And what are the options? How do you get to that place where it's not going to happen again? Can you face that? Now, does that become the habit, such a habit, so it's not only that I resolve the frustration of the moment, but whenever I get anywhere near the idea of frustration, the vague sense of it, I already have an alternative. I don't let it mature and crystallize into frustration. I have the habit, the moment I have the slightest sense that shame is approaching me, do I have an alternative? So that it becomes a trigger, that moment, yeah, becomes a trigger to, no, I don't go there, I go here. I don't let this happen to me. This is self-destroying. I'm going to do, I have another way. So that I'm not only resolving the frustration of the moment, I'm also resolving the tendency to get into frustration. Resolving the tendency to get into frustration itself, that pattern itself, that pull, that magnetic pull towards that old-fashioned, justifiable, everybody's right to get frustrated and play out that soap opera, you know? Yeah? You can't just stop it and drop it, because it's more than just a point, it's a whole tendency, it's a whole design in you. And if you don't have an alternative design, which takes time to train and to cultivate, I'm going to approach everything with, what has it been teaching me? What training did I get? What strength did I learn by the struggles of my childhood? Or I'm going to look at it all as what suffering and what trauma and what drama and what problem and what excuses I have because of how it was in my childhood. It's a question of orientation. Let's build this up more.
Surrender to God's will.
Vaheguru. Humility. You're frustrated because you think it should be different. You think that half an hour ago we should have been talking about humility, but I didn't do that. I went to frustration, and you think, what's happening? Why are we talking about frustration? Why was there not that surrender? You see? Oh, I don't know what's happening. God is in charge of everything. Even Shiv Chan Singh is controlled by God. He's not got a mind of his own. It's all in God's hands. And somehow this conversation is taking us back to frustration. So now let's go there. Let's complete what needs to be completed so that we can move on. Let's not make a discussion out of it, but make it a transformative discussion. Make it a Kriya. Or I'm going to be frustrated. Okay, when do we get to humility? Go on. Well, you're definitely not getting anywhere near humility if you're going to sit there being frustrated about the fact that we're talking about frustration. Do you get that? That's the link here. Who you are now and always, who you were before you ever learnt about shame, which is also who you are now and who you will always be into the future. Yes. Who were you always, not only now, before the shame, long before the shame. long before the roots of your drama of frustration or irritation or boredom or upset or shame or pain or guilt or accusation or anything else, long before all of that, who were you? That is who you are now, and that is who you will be tomorrow and unto infinity. So self-remembering, exactly. Not just remember what you've done, which is a good start, but like I said, it's not enough. You've got to go more deep. Identity, remember who I am. That's far more powerful than just remembering what you've done. Because if you remember what you've done, this is a polarity in your mind, and the other side of your mind is, yeah, but remember you also did that stupid thing, you know, so, you know what I mean? It's going to become a game, yeah? There's one thing, is I am, yeah? Art such, God such, I was, through the time, and I am, and I shall be. Now, where's the polarity to that? There's no duality to that. Argument or discussion. Identity is as it is. The mind cannot play a game on that one. Remember now, remember identity, remember who I am. That's very powerful. Now, how can you get into frustration when you have self-remembrance? You know, yesterday we were talking about that, forgetfulness. Yeah? Do I have the habit to remember? We have the habit to forget, and we're supported in that habit to forget because we're in a very powerful maya, the marketplace and so on, and the eyes of others and the opinion and the judgments and so on. So there's a lot to bring us to hypnosis and forgetfulness. But we're not in hypnosis of self, intoxicated with self. Yeah? That's not our habit. That's something that requires cultivation. Proactive. She's saying be proactive. Learn English, do these things. Okay, that's a help. That's the habit. Take action. Good habit. But we've got to go deeper. Are you proactive about remembering who you really are? It's another level of proactive. If you're not in that proactive, anything else is going to be quite temporary and quite shallow. It's a quick fix, works for the moment. You want to go deep, go to roots of self, not roots of the problem. Because roots of self is far deeper than the roots of your problem. Go to that root. And if you nourish that root, other weeds are pushed away, pushed out, there's no room. If you nourish the root of self. If I'm occupied, I cannot be preoccupied. That doesn't have to be by temporary distraction. It can be deeply occupied, breath by breath. Okay, we've got two sides to this. One is that's empowerment, the strength that can come from it. And the other side is there will be times when you have this frustration, yeah, and see if you can kind of reflect a little more around that, when you could not necessarily do something. And then do you remain in frustration, or do you go into humiliation, or can you go to humility? Look in your personal life, think about certain moments when there's a link, okay? We did politeness yesterday, and Satya raised the question, you know, how does my politeness compromise me? You know the meaning, compromise? Yeah, like, yeah, it's not the meaning promise, it's a different meaning, yeah? It's not commitment, it's
Compromete.
you understand? Yeah? The difference, yeah?
Compromete tu ser.
Just wanted to check, yeah?
Como que lo
Or,
ponen
yeah, so it's humiliating, yeah? My politeness is humiliating me, or that politeness humbles me. Okay. Check in with your neighbor for a moment on personal, yeah? Look up this interrelation between politeness towards humiliation and politeness towards humility. And try and be as personal as you can about that, okay? Don't just talk general rules, general idea. Actually, personally, in your life.